Trey Dynasty. I'd like to say welcome back to another video. And today, since we did the best songs of 2020 and the worst albums of 2020, let's finish it off with one more list before the year ends. And I'm gonna be covering my favorite albums of 2020. These are all albums that, in my opinion, has exceeded at like almost, if not every single thing that, in my opinion, makes a good project. And I go back to them pretty often. I put 8 albums on here. I made a mistake like last video and putting like 9 albums on the previous video, but like I fixed it now. I recounted. Everything's good. Everything's solid. I'm happy with this list and gonna share it to y'all. So without further ado, let's get into my favorite albums and mixtapes, of course, of 2020. With number 8 and number 7 being from the same artist who also showed up at my worst albums of 2020 also, which is Tory Lanez with the New Toronto 3 at number 8 and his album Daystar at number 7. Like, if you watched me for a while, you know that like I like rapping Tory more than like his singing Tory, and I guess you could say hype Tory, I guess you can say. And these both these albums, I think he brought that out the most. Like, sure, the New Toronto 3 had like a little bit more variety than Daystar, but I thought Daystar, in my opinion, had the more solid writing and like messages and stuff, like him just talking about cancel culture and like what he's been doing with after like the whole Megan Thee Stallion situation and how he's just trying not to back down, which was interesting. And then New Toronto 3, like he mentioned some like deep stuff here and there too about like his life, and also he was also talking about like his label issues and why like he's happy now to be like independent, making his own moves, doing his own stuff, and make his own money. So like I thought those albums were pretty good. The only gripes I have about them is that like both albums, in my opinion, have like quite a few skips on them. Not like a lot to where they couldn't make it on this list, because obviously they did. But it's just like enough to like make them kind of low on this list. Plus, honestly, these are the albums I return to the least out of every album on this list. 6 and up are just better in my opinion. So that's why I put Tory Lanez New Toronto 3 at number 8 and Daystar at number 7. Number 6 is a surprising one, because this one, honestly, by like the people I've seen, the people I watched, it hasn't gotten like the greatest reviews and stuff. And sure, like it may have not been all that, but I like it. I liked it for what it was, and that was Future and Lil Uzi's Plil x Baby Plil. Now, like I said before, not a lot of people were big fans of this album. I even seen it on like some like worst albums of the year list by like some YouTubers I watch. Honestly, I just don't really agree with it, you know, like, it's an opinion, but like, my personal opinion is that like, I found this album quite enjoyable. Sure, like, there's some like skips here and there, and like, sure, it could have been better than what it is, but like I said before, I'm not mad at what they gave me. Actually, it's pretty good. And this is one of the albums where I feel like the deluxe edition actually added more to the album, made it better in my opinion, because there's like quite a few songs I like on here. Like, I got the track list, and the songs I liked on here were Because of You, Baby Sasuke, Drinking Smoking, $1 Million Play, That's It, Paddock, Over Your Head is growing on me a little bit, I have to say. And there's some others, but like what brings this album down, in my opinion, is that like it's kind of like one of those like flip-flop albums. And how I explain that is that it'll have like a couple songs that are good, then like a couple meh, then a couple good, then a couple meh, and that's what kind of brought it down to me. Plus, like, honestly, it's not the deepest album, but like that's, in my opinion, what this album's not here for. If you want something to just like turn your brain off and like just have fun to, and just like get hyped to, and like maybe play at a party, or like just something to make you happy, this album, in my opinion, is definitely for you. And that's why I put it at number 6. I just see it's just like a fun album, you know? So that's why it's at number 6. And now we're at number 5. And the number 5 album is, you know, we gotta give love to the R&B album. So it's August Alsina with his album, The Product 3. Now, it honestly does feel good to like listen to more August Alsina after he's been like on this hiatus for such a long time. Understandable, but still. And I feel like with this album, he didn't disappoint. Like, he has like some really good vocals. He has like a really unique voice, which adds to those vocals. That's why in some of his songs he's had like some really good singing on there. And the production on like a lot of these songs I thought was pretty good. Some of the features were cool. They were sung pretty well. And yeah, like, and then like when he's talking about like it's not just like relationship stuff. He's also talking about like what's been going on in his life, like how he's been feeling, and like so he does mention some stuff about the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, which is pretty cool. The main songs I like on here are like Lessons, Deliver Us, RRR, Fly Far, Resent, that song too, and quite a few others that I may be like forgetting, you know. And like my favorite of all of them is like Deliver Us with Daryl Walls, because I feel like those like that's honestly his best performance on this album. And Daryl Walls is, in my opinion, the best feature on this album. And yeah, that's why I really think this album is quite enjoyable. But some of the gripes I have about it is that like, one is that I wasn't really a big fan of any of the like majority of the singles he came out with for this album, because like sure like some of them had like deep messages and stuff, but like the sound of the music itself was, in my opinion, kind of lacking. And another thing is that like I feel like the second half of this album was a bit weaker than the first half. Honestly, this album is like, in my opinion, a bit too long for August Alsina. I feel like he could like completely like cut off like the second half of the album. And I feel like I would have given this album like a little bit more credit, but it is what it is. But for what I got, it's sure it's like my least favorite R&B project on here. But it's still like a pretty good listen, and I'm honestly glad that like he's starting to do music again, and hope he release more projects so like we can see he possibly improves from his album, and just to see where he could go. So that was number 5. Next is number 4, which is also a R&B album. It is Trey Songz' Back Home. Now, I remember back in my video, I didn't get this like the highest rating because the messages and stuff like that, and I wish he could switch it up. And honestly, in my opinions, have kind of changed since that video. And I'll admit the album has grown on me quite a bit. There's like some pretty good songs on here. And I've mentioned before that in my opinion, Trey Songz is like the best vocalist in R&B right now. And in this album, like, shows like some of those examples. Like, I feel like the best songs are like is GLA, I Know a Love, Come Get All This Love, 2020 Riots, Circles, Back Home, and Two Ways, yeah. Those are like the main favorites I have, but there's still some pretty good songs on here too. My favorite, I feel like my favorite feature is from this album is Summer Walker, although in my opinion, not all the features were all that in my opinion, but it's what it is. And again, like, I like Trey Songz' vocals on here. He had like a really like important and emotional song with How Many Times. Yeah, I noticed that it's not just like a bunch of love songs. Like, sure, there's a lot of them, but like he does in different variations. Like, he talks about like he used to be with this girl, and then now like the relationship's not that great. He talks about like a good relationships he has. He mentions his son every once in a while. And yeah, like, there's enough to like switch it up. So, but if you're looking for like pure R&B albums, I feel like this is the one that you might enjoy. My main gripes I have about it is that like there's still like quite a few songs on here that like I find kind of skippable. The length of this album didn't really bother me on here because I feel like Trey Songz does well enough to give the length justice, I guess you can say. And another negative I had that kind of brought this album down for me is that like, here's the thing, my favorite album from Trey Songz right now is Tremaine, and I just feel like this album is like weaker and like a step down to like Tremaine. But that doesn't mean like it's a bad album or anything. Well, it's on this list. I still think it's a pretty good one, and I still think it's worth checking out if you haven't checked it out yet, and that's why it's on my number 4. Next is number 3, with 21 Savage's and Metro Boomin's Savage Mode 2. Now, this album has like the best like rapper producer chemistry that I've seen this year. Both of them really work well together. And I'm a guy that likes dark production, and if you're a person who likes dark production too, I feel like you may love this album because he has some really like great produced songs, and 21 Savage does well in those songs. Like my favorite songs are songs like "Running," "Many Men," "Glock on My Lap," "Stitches and Rats," and then he also has like some really personal songs and like talking about his feelings and stuff like that. Like "R.P. Love," "Said and Done," and some other ones. Another positive I give is like not one I usually give, but like I like Morgan Freeman's narration throughout this album. I thought he did pretty well. He annoyed me, and he was actually speaking some real stuff, and he actually made me laugh at some points too, which I liked. And yeah, like 21 Savage has won me back because like ever since I'm Greater Than I Was, I kind of fallen off with his music, like the sound and stuff, and this album kind of like brought me back a little bit more. So like I'm looking forward to checking out whatever he drops in the future. But like what brings this album down in my opinion is that like there's just some song I'm not a big fan of, like Mr. Right Now with Drake, and I think it was Brand New Draco because in my opinion like I just didn't like that beat. It kind of had like that old school style to it, which I'm not a big fan of, but if you like it, you may like this song. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say for Savage Mode 2. And now let's move on to number 2. This album surprised me, and I'm glad to see it became my second favorite album of the year. And that album is Ungodly Hour by Chloe and Halle. Now, I found out about these two recently this year. A couple months ago, I listened to the song Do It. That was really good. And I decided to do a video on their album, and I'm glad I did because they have like some good chemistry together. Like they're both like work well together. Like one does a hook, one does a verse, or like they switch it up every once in a while on this project, which I like. And another thing is that like they both have really good singing voices. Like I think both their vocals are really good. They work well whatever beats they're on. The production on this album was really good too. It also tackled like relationship stuff also, but like again, it has its own like variations. Like I feel like this album was talking more about like toxic relationships, and another things like being alone, not having anybody with you, and some songs about empowering women. And these two do it better than some other people. My favorite songs on here were Forgive Me, Do It, Tipsy. I like Tipsy. It took me a bit to grow on. It took a bit for it to grow on me, but I selected Ungodly Hour, Catch Up. I think, although I wasn't a big fan of Sway Lee's feature on it, that's like one gripe I have about it. And there's a couple other songs too. And another thing is that like, this album's not too long, like 13 songs. I think it's pretty cool. Also, it was something different because like this is like the first time for me that I actually listened to like a duo R&B group like this, and now I listen to it like I mean they're like the best. Like honestly, I can't think of anybody who's out right now who's doing the duo thing like they are. But if you all know anybody, let me know. The one gripe I have about this album is that like there are some songs that like weren't necessarily bad. It's just that like some songs on here just weren't my style whatsoever. Like it's just not my thing. Like the sound of it or like the production, like stuff like that. It wasn't really for me. Like the song I say it was like Baby Girl, or it's like Baby Girl in like the last song. What's it called? Let me see. R-O-Y-L. I didn't really care for that song either. But besides that, like I'm really glad that like I got into these two, and this is like a really good project, and I'm looking forward to what they might do in the future. But then again, for some reason R&B artists take like 50 years to like come out with new projects, so who knows? But if they come out with something next year or the year after that or the year after that, I'll be sure to check it out. So that was my number 2. My number 1, my favorite album of the year. And this album, it kind of surprised me in a way because when I first did a video on it, I wasn't a big fan of this album. If you asked me back then, I probably would give this album like a C+, something like that. But after like a couple months to take a break from it and then give me a second listen, it has shot up from a C all the way up to an A. And that album is The GOAT by Polo G. Now, like I said before, I wasn't a big fan of it now, but it grew on me a lot. Polo G does like useless stuff, like he talks about like the street life, how it's like to live in Chicago, how like some of the stuff he's been through, like his drug addiction, being locked up, losing friends, and I guess family also, and like how he's had to work hard in order to like get to the point where he is. You can find songs like that like in Believe the Hype, I Know, which is my opinion my favorite song off this project. Really emotional and sad, but I like it. No Matter What, 21, 33. Like, well, you can find a whole bunch of songs. But then he does also switch it up too and like puts in like some hype songs like Flex with Juice WRLD, which honestly I played to death. Go Stupid with Son from Vegas and Annalie Choppa. 33, like I mentioned before. 21, Heartless. Like those are some songs I consider some hype music. He even has some love songs on here. Like one song about how he really feels about this girl with Martin and Gina, which is a really good sounding song. And then another song where he's talking about how this messed up relationship he has with this one girl with Beautiful Pain. And another song, and like in the first verse, I Know, he talked about how like he kind of struggles with like getting close to someone, falling in love with someone and stuff like that, which I like too. And another thing is that like Polo G, like I said, like Polo G, sure he's not like a top tier lyricist or anything, but like I really like his messages and his storytelling and stuff like that. And plus he can have like some decent lyrics here and there. Like I feel like he's one of the better rappers who have come out in the mainstream and stuff, and he's the artist like out of like the new age that's kind of like impressed me the most. 2 back-to-back really good projects with like Die a Legend, and then this album, which in my opinion proves on everything that like Die a Legend had on the rapping, the production. I'm really glad that I was able to give this album a second chance, because it probably wouldn't make me on this list if I just completely forgot about that video. The one, like there's 2 gripes I have, there's like 2, maybe 3 gripes I have about it though. The song Be Something with Lil Baby, I really didn't care for that song. I honestly found it kind of boring, and like Lil Baby didn't really fit with this project in my opinion. And then the song Chinatown, I thought it was just alright. Like it wasn't really anything special or really stand out. It was just like an okay song. But another thing I forgot to say, the last song, The Way Is. Oh wait, The Way Is. I mean, Wishing for a Hero. He was talking about like struggles like a black man has to deal with and stuff, and I really like that about this song. And plus, he samples a song from Tupac, and this album does end it does have like a pretty strong ending. Sure, it has like a kind of meh middle point, but like it ends pretty strong. And yeah, like and the last gripe I have about it is that like I do see why like people kind of complain that Polo G kind of sounds sounds like similar throughout like his music. He's just switched it up, which I do agree to some extent. I do feel like his production has changed quite a bit, and I'm not really mad at production side. Like maybe switch up like his flow, his delivery every once in a while, like try something different and just see how it works. And if not, oh well. But like for right now, like his style hasn't gotten old to me. And I'm still into it, right now, but like I'm wondering what he might do on his next project. This album right here really has impressed me over the year, and the album earns my first ever double thumbs up. Really good project, and I'm glad that I was able to make it my favorite album of the year. And that's it. That's all my albums I enjoyed this year. I'm really glad I was able to listen to these projects and give some several chances and stuff. And I wish the best of luck to each of these artists that got on this list, and I hope to listen to more of them in the future. Let me know what other albums do y'all prefer as your favorite albums of this year. Be sure to also leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, and subscribe if you want more content from me later on next year. And that's really. Oh yeah, also follow me on Instagram. The link to it will be in the description down below. And that's really all I gotta say. Without further ado, this is Trey Dynasty. Hope y'all have a great day. Thank y'all for watching, and I'm out.